ENT students, hi. Catherine Robertson here. This is a quick video update on week 3. I'm going to do 2 videos, one on chapter 4 and one chapter 5. This is the chapter 4 video. So if you are tuning in this week, there are a few things. You do have your homework this week, and I'm going to talk a little bit about chapter 4. We have two video links for you to click on. Chapter 4 is creativity, innovation, and invention. And so a couple things you're going to learn about in chapter 4 are some tools that you might find useful to help you with creativity, and how creativity, innovation, and intervention, like how they differ. And then also, how do we develop ideas? How do we develop new inventions? And how do we think about ways to innovate? All right, so when we think about creativity and some of the tools, we think about different problem-solving methods, right? And, we start to think about how to apply different problem-solving methods in different situations, right? What methods might we use? And so, for example, there are some different ways that the text goes into a few ideas about first, the empathetic design cycle, right? And it kind of is a cyclical situation where you are defining, ideate, prototype, test, and then empathize with the product. And then you basically keep circling around until you come to a point where you feel like a product is ready to roll out. And this idea of 6 thinking hats, you can actually go, I know a lady that teaches short certificate situations where she does the 6 thinking hats, and you really sort of think about have groups where they all kind of think about and play a role in, they play one of these hats. They play the component of research and how that affects, an outcome when you think about problem solving. Emotions, how emotions play a role, how logic plays a role, how encouragement, there's 6 of them, right? Research, emotions, logic, encouragement, creativity, and enforcement. And thinking about how these all work together when we're thinking about problem solving within a discussion. All right, so this chapter also starts to talk about disruptive technology, and we've learned in Business 101, if you happen to have taken Business 101, that a disruptive technology is a technology that completely changes the direction of an industry, right? And changes what we see as the norm. For example, one of they mentioned in here, Uber and Lyft, right? Uber and Lyft changed how we feel about transportation that we purchase, right? Prior to that, it was just ride sharing was only, or any type of getting from one place to another via a paid reason, was a taxi driver. But ride sharing, which is Uber and Lyft and other areas, other companies now, really completely changed that platform, right? So when we have a change in platform, that's called a disruptive technology. All right, the second section of this chapter really starts to talk about, the difference between pioneering and also incremental innovation, because you can come up with a completely new idea, right? Or you might just make changes on a certain idea or product that is already in existence. And that's still innovative, right? But that's incremental innovation. All right. Different types of Drucker. All right, so looking at Drucker has 7 sources of innovation, right? This is a very interesting aspect of when we think about how this might be useful to you if you are actually trying to think of new ideas for an entrepreneurial adventure, right? So if we're thinking about sources of innovation, we could think about the unexpected, right? Looking for new opportunities in a market, an unexpected product, performance, for instance, or unexpected new products. Those might be something that we would think of as unexpected. Incongruity. These are discrepancies between what you think should be and what is really, right? So this is a source of innovation, because you might think something is working okay, or you might think that a need is being filled by a certain product, but it might not be at all. So that's called incongruity, and that's a source of innovation, or a platform or a space to innovate within. Process need, right? If we see something, this is a huge one I talk to engineers about, that if we see a weakness within an organization, and within a product, like a component of a product that really could be bettered, or a service that could really be explored and bettered, right? That's called a process need. And so, one of the things I tell engineers, you are valuable to businesses because you think in a logical fashion, and you think, how do we make this process more efficient and more effective, right? Whatever the processes are of an organization. If they have assembly lines, if they have specialized individuals, if they have the structure of their organization, right? Is it efficient? So this idea of process need is a source of innovation. Changes in an industry or a market. So new regulations, new technologies always lead to change and innovation because they allow us to do things that we couldn't do prior. Changing demographics, right? Understanding the needs of demographics and target markets. Changes in perception, right? This can be a source of innovation, and also bringing new knowledge to the table. When new knowledge appears, that is a change maker time. All right, let's see a few other things. Oh, when we look at this, there's a slide here, technology adoption life cycle, right? And I've mentioned this to some of the folks in this class, actually, about who we market to. If you're thinking about marketing, you often want to market to early adopters, right? So there are groups of that we talk about, customer base, and we think of customers as, okay, we have those that are early adopters, so they are the first ones to buy products, so the first ones to buy that iPhone 15. Then we have this, they're a very slim market. Then we have this thing called the early majority, right? So we have the majority of folks in that bell curve. They're in the middle of the bell curve. And we have an early majority and a late majority. So part of those folks tend to, be next in line after early adopters. And they question early adopters, why did you buy something, right? And they get a lot of their information from this group called the early adopters. The late majority does a little less questioning, and they're more jumping on the bandwagon of what other early majority folks are doing, or maybe what early adopters are doing. Then you have the laggards, right, that aren't really paying attention, that they are the last ones in line to get the 15. That would be me, right? I'm not that concerned. My 12 seems to work fine, but I know a lot of people that are very excited. So I'm not someone that would be particularly marketed to when it comes to the new iPhone coming out. And so those different types of customers, it's important to know who your early adopters are, because that's who you have to appeal to. So there's also a process, 5 stages of creativity, according to Graham Wallace, in figure 411. So first we have that preparation phase, right? When we are coming up with, what is it we are thinking, what lines are we thinking along, right? And then once we come up with some ideas and some avenues, we think, okay, how can we incubate these ideas and try to form into actually something that's operationalized? So that takes insight into a marketplace, insight into our customer base. And then we evaluate how insightful were we, or are we, with our product, right? And with our new technology, or how are we incorporating new technologies with our innovation. And then the last, after we evaluate, then we elaborate on whatever it is whatever direction we're moving into. We want to make sure that we fully saturate the marketplace and we are able to hit our target market with a decent amount of pressure. All right, so a couple different types of, when we're thinking about innovation, there are components that go along with that: problem solving, prevention, and continuous improvement, right? And that really is how we have our products. Look at the iPhone 15, that's continuous from iPhone 4, right? And so look through, one of the suggestions for the 5 stages of developing innovation, right? We really want to make sure that we're educating ourselves, that we stay organized, that we conduct market research constantly, right? So important. We check in on patent research, right? And then our next spot, if we are thinking of innovation, coming up with something totally new, we don't want someone else to steal it, so we have to make sure we conduct patent research, so that we aren't stealing someone else's info. Then we come up with something called a prototype. All right, so chapter 4 then really kind of hones in on innovation and creativity. Stay tuned for a short video on chapter 5.